This podcast is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
Tom, the Boston Celtics win number 18, most in NBA history. You think about the New York Yankees, they have, 27 World Series titles. UConn women's basketball under Gino, UCLA under John Wooden. When you think about best franchises or best college programs in sports, what is one that you think stands out maybe amongst the rest?
Morning, Ty. Good to be with you guys as always. The Celtics are way up there. They've not always been my favorite. As a Hawks fan, we had a crushing loss to them in the playoffs in 80-something, that Dominique Wilkins and Larry Bird, the big shootout. And so, I don't know, I always kind of felt like they got some calls and stuff like that along the way. But you can't deny their greatness. And I guess this breaks a tie with the Lakers maybe with the 18th. So good on them. They were the best team throughout the entire season, and they proved that in the playoffs with only 3 losses. They would rank way up there. I mean, you can't think of any NFL. The Patriots of the recent last 20 years or so, the Patriots would come the closest. And but no, the Celtics certainly are in pro franchises among just the icons.
And, Tom, a lot of times in the NBA or the NFL, the number one seed not only reaches it to the pinnacle, to a championship, but wins it. That has not happened in college baseball since 1999 when Miami did it. Tennessee is in the semis right now. They're waiting on who their ACC opponent's going to be, either Florida State or North Carolina. How confident are you that Tennessee is the first college baseball team to break that curse in 25 years?
Fairly confident. Last week, before this all started, I thought, and I know it was the odds-on favorites, but I thought Tennessee and Texas A&M would advance, and now they're obviously in the best position to do so. Tennessee has just got a little bit of an it factor to them. They've got depth throughout their lineup. They've got some really hot guys like Christian Moore. Hitting for the cycle and in the Florida State game, and basically should have lost it. And they hit a double in the 9th inning, too. So I thought the check swing on Blake Burke, I thought he went. I thought he committed to the swing. I thought his bat went beyond the plate, and that would have ended the game. But it didn't, and they lived on and capitalized and won the game from there. And it basically has set them on a path to get there. The fact that 2 years ago they had their Arkansas 2021. 2 years ago. They were the dominant team. They rolled through the SEC. I think they won the tournament as well, number 1 seed, and to be beaten by Notre Dame at home the way they were, I think that's kind of fueled this team's run, even though not a whole lot of overlapping guys. But I just feel like their depth of pitching, the fact that they're getting clutch hitting up and down their order bodes well for them as they move forward.
And I think when talking about Tennessee and you look at Tony Vitalo's speech following the Super Regional, and I think trying to eradicate this thought of a 1 seed can't win it, using his time in front of the media to almost turn his team as a 1 seed into an underdog and an us against the world mentality. He seems to have a pretty good pulse on his team right now, and so far, sitting at 2-0 in Omaha, it seems to all be coming up roses right now for Tony V.
No doubt. Tony won a lot of admirers for what he said after that, and I already liked Tony, but that put him in a different stratosphere. He's very interesting. You see very few coaches who have the introspection and the way they talk to the media. They almost like he says things and he goes, well, I know how you're going to interpret that, so this is what I mean. And it's just very interesting. And he's got a head coaching job at a young enough age that he can really, really build a legacy. And is that going to be all at Tennessee? Is that going to be Tennessee and somewhere else in the future? We don't know. But he's got a real chance to put his name, to stamp his name in college baseball, like his mentor Dave Van Horn has.
Yeah, we were discussing earlier, the likelihood of A&M and Tennessee playing in the championship series is pretty high right now, just based on where they sit at 2-0. If you had to pick one or the other to win based on what's best for Arkansas, its recruiting, Dave Van Horn, do you come down one side or the other that, hey, this would be a better deal if this team won versus the other from an Arkansas perspective?
Well, I haven't really considered it like that, Tommy, but I see where you're going. And the thing is this. If it's A&M, obviously Arkansas A&M recruiting a lot of the same guys in Texas. Arkansas's got a real good deal going in Kansas right now. I mean, their pipeline to the Kansas City area has really fueled some of their best teams in recent years. So I think you'd say, well, if Tennessee won, that might be better for Arkansas. But if A&M wins it, think of this. Would that be the fifth champion from the SEC West? Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, A&M, maybe just four, would have all won it in the last, since Mississippi State did in 2019. I think that's what it was. So it would be an unbelievable run for SEC West teams. And Arkansas should have really been the one that started that in 2018.
Speaking of the SEC West, it's basically going to conclude as of July 1st with Oklahoma and Texas officially joining the league. So we're basically about 2 weeks away. Tom, are people still going to look at the conference on the SEC West and East side, even though divisions aren't going to exist, or do you think that's just kind of wither off into the wind?
That's a great question. I'll be writing football notes throughout the course of next year, and I'll probably do breakdowns on here's what the records are for the East teams and West teams. But then where do you slot Texas and Oklahoma? I don't know. I'll say this. I'm not fond of a one-division deal. I mean, talking to Houston Nutt about a totally separate subject probably last summer, he talked about how he doesn't like – he goes, if you have it broken down in divisions, you're still fighting for something. A team that has one loss or two losses could still be fighting for their division title.
Yep.
And as it is now, just one big conglomerate thrown against the wall, bunch of standings. And if you got three losses, you're out of it. And I don't like it. I would have preferred 4-team pods, no matter what it meant. How you declared champions or how you set up the conference championship game. I would have preferred 4-team pods for the course of the season than I would have all in one deal. I don't like it at all. What dictates it? Money, whatever. I don't know what dictates it, but I don't like it, and I'm a grumpy man complaining to the wind.
Is this experimental? I mean, do they look at this for a couple years, not just in football, but the other sports as well? If it's not working, they say, you know what, we're gonna try this a different way. Could you see them changing things up 5 years down the road, Tom?
Oh, I certainly could. The changes are happening in college athletics so fast. The NIL, how they're going to distribute all this money, and don't even get me going on lawsuits and money and such. But, I think they could. If the coaches and the ADs see that their fans get turned off halfway through a season at some of the schools, and what do we do to spice things up, go back to divisions or go into pods? I don't see why they wouldn't consider that. They haven't been married to certain other things over the years, and maybe not this season.
Speaking, Tom Murphy with us here on the McClarty-Daniel Hotline. Speaking of lawsuits, Les Miles is suing LSU. They vacated 37 wins that will hold him out from a threshold of winning percentage and getting into the College Football Hall of Fame. Question is, Tom, does Les Miles belong in the College Football Hall of Fame?
Well, I read up on that yesterday, and my overarching view is I think he does. He's an iconic figure, chewing on grass on the sideline, and bizarre decisions. Just a clip of his press conference highlights would be a nice display at the College Football Hall of Fame. He's saying that LSU gave him no chance, no voice. They just declared the victories null. And what was it, 35 or 37 games? Ironically, if he hadn't coached at Kansas, he would still be above the 600-win plateau. So he couldn't get that thing turned around with Jeff Long as the AD. I think he does. And, you're talking about lawsuits. You're talking about they made this decision. Well, I'm not going to get into it, but no, I think he and Mike Leach both will eventually, I hope, wind up in the Hall of Fame.
My only point with Les Miles is obviously you saw Saban win a title there, and he goes well beyond LSU. But you also saw not just Miles, but Ed Orgeron win a title there, and I believe Brian Kelly will win a title there at some point. I don't want to take away anything LSU does, but their program is the overshadowing power there because of the recruiting grounds and because of their long-term success. I don't know how much of that I pin on Les Miles based on some of the things you said, but that he was the straw that stirred the drink. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. If Ed Orgeron can engineer a national title, that says a lot about the strength of your program, the foundation of your program.
Yeah, I don't argue your point. And if Nick Saban had been at LSU for over the years that Les Miles was, he could have won two more, right?
Oh, at least. So,
been John Wooden level of titles.
Could have been.
Yeah.
But I'll say this for Les Miles. He's a character. He won at Oklahoma State. I think he'd had 2 wins over Oklahoma when they were rolling with Bob Stoops. And so it's borderline, but for the vacant wins, to deny him the chance is what I'm not happy about. The vacated wins when seemingly decisions are made at whims to do something like that. And I think he should be granted what his career record is, over 60%.
Yeah, I think on the field should count more than, vacated. I think maybe vacated wins should be set aside. What happened on the field should count, but then there's no incentive to follow the rules, but I'm not sure what rules mean anymore. But I do like the idea of having thresholds, because then it just keeps everything from devolving into a popularity contest.
Hey, agreed. But, the vacated wins were because of the family of Vidal Alexander, right? So
yes.
The money but that would all be basically legal right now. So the rules have changed since then. So why can't the vacated victories go back to them? That's the question.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.